Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here on air again. Has been a while, but this time is a little bit different. And the idea today, and we're gonna do a series of this spaces where we're bringing a real client to show real, on-chain activity from our private networks. And today we have our, partner, Leandro Pereira, the head of digital assets of Núclea. I'll ask him to introduce himself, but and to tell a little bit about what's Núclea, why this matters, and then we can jump into some questions we already received from the community. But feel free to engage. Feel free to send further questions. We're going to open for a Q&A at the end of the spaces. We're super excited to be here. Before we start and getting Leandro introduced, I would like to thank you, the community, to thank you, Cooktree. We know that it means a lot of a roller coaster, but we're doing serious activity. We're highly focused on bringing financial institutions, banks on chain, and we'll continue to do so. And we're super excited with the upcoming news that we're gonna have. You will see. Bear with us, and yeah, we're excited to continue our journey and keep building and keep being large assets on chain. So now let's kick off. Leandro, feel free to. Leandro is an OG. We know each other for a few years. And he joined Núclea 2-3 years ago.
2 years ago,
Yeah, and but he can make a quick intro and talk a little bit about Núclea. Leandro, welcome.
So thanks, Viriato. Thanks, Rayls and Parfin guys for the invite. So my name is Leandro. I lead the digital assets at Núclea. Núclea is one of the biggest FMIs in Brazil. We process around $5 trillion in transactions yearly. So a little bit over 2 years ago, we decided to explore this digital assets and tokenized assets area. And while looking for a robust infrastructure, we decided to build our private network with Rayls and exploring all those opportunities on tokenization and what could we do better from the legacy systems using blockchain. And it's been a journey.
Yeah. People are not aware, but processing this $5 trillion of transactions is over 300 billion transactions, right?
Yeah, 30 billion transactions in total. But this includes like the boletos, which is one of the main payment methods in Brazil, TED, all the assets registration, which is actually the area we are looking more closely to use the tokenization as a powerhouse. Because now we started to identify that a lot of these assets, we already do the register. They can directly be tokenized. We don't need to, do 2 steps. We can go straight to blockchain and you can explore another, a huge opportunity in services applications when they are directly tokenized.
Yeah, this is very important because for those who are not familiar with the process of a central depository, basically financial assets to be traded, they are registered into the central depository. And once they are registered, they can be transferred in between counterparties when they are traded. So what Leandro is referring to, in most of the cases, you register the asset, so it's a normal asset, and then you tokenize it. So what Leandro was referring is that the registration will not be in a central database, will be on a blockchain now, and this effectively is a native tokenized assets. It's not just a hybrid token representing the assets. And to me, this is one of the biggest transformations into the financial systems, when assets were born in the tokenized format.
They are native, yeah.
They are native, and this is a big transformation, and it's glad that you touch it, because not many people understands this transformation shift in financial markets.
Okay, some assets you still need to create that digital twin that we call. Okay, you still have them on the traditional, the legacy systems. Okay, the Oracle, but some new assets we are already like planning to do the registration, the registry on blockchain, because it's a database. So it's pretty much no brainer to think like, why should we use, this 1970 Chevy V8 instead of using a faster electric car,
Yeah.
So it's I think it's part of the game also to see the technology evolution. How can we optimize also the systems? How can we scale the applications? Because if it's all in a blockchain, even if it's a private blockchain now and later expanding to use public blockchains, you get a much wider reach, I think.
Yeah.
Because you have all this ecosystem being created with the tokenization companies, exchange, newcomers, even the old players joining this game now, building infrastructure, building applications on top of tokenized assets. So I think it's part of the curve, you need to follow.
Yeah. And talking about this, Núclea is owned by the 30 largest banks in the country.
Yeah.
And the banks obviously are clients of Núclea for the existing services. How you are seeing their adoption of tokenized assets? We started with the commercial receivables, which is ramping up. And then later you announced with one of the largest banks, Santander, the tokenization of kind of a asset that only had in Brazil. Is like an
consortium. Yeah, it's very specific from Brazil.
Yeah. And how are you seeing this ramping up? And because people, again, despite it being a private network, how are you seeing the adoption? Because not many people are aware of it.
Yeah, Núclea belongs to the banks. Like we belong to 48 banks. The biggest banks in Brazil are the main shareholders. They are all exploring these initiatives, as you know. I think since Drax in Brazil, that really started this movement of pushing the banks to join this technology and explore applications. What we built, we thought in layers. Like the first layer is actually how can we have like a complementary infrastructure to what we already have and start using this to do what we already do using all the technology in a new one. The second layer is actually how can we expand this with this new technology, blockchain, with some new services, applications, and how can we optimize also cost and everything else. And the third layer is actually how can we bring these banks, not only the banks that are shareholders here, but how can we bring the TradFi to participate in what we are building? And I think that's how is it going. So we built initially that private blockchain with like few nodes that we were like using some. We had like Amphi, using Rayls for the receivables. We have these other projects with like Santander and some other things that I cannot say it here yet. But the second layer now is actually how can we expand these applications? So not necessarily using the TradFi, but creating new things on the blockchain side with the banks and with the TradFi. And I think that's like now with the regulations in Brazil being like settled, being clear, it will expand much quicker.
Yeah.
because now they know what they can actually do, how they can actually play, so it will grow like exponentially, I think, in 2026, 2027.
Yeah, I agree. We're seeing demands, and the upcoming announcements are aligned with this thought where big assets will come on chain. But people generally don't understand of being a mission critical financial market infrastructure. What does it mean, right? You cannot stop, because you stop the entire financial market. You process over 50% of the country's payment, and in a day-to-day basis. And imagine that you are entering with this new technology, tokenizing assets. How it was, how critical was this integration between the blockchain and the legacy system, and what was your strategy? I remember we discussed this a lot, because you cannot create a silo. You need to interoperate. And this interoperability between the legacy and blockchain, I know you like it a lot. Leandro designed this integration, interoperability, and I haven't seen this in production large scale as we do now. But what's your thoughts about this layer and the complexity of implementing it? And
we had to think in a middleware, to connect both worlds. So you have something that it's running there for years already, that you cannot just plug the blockchain node there and say, yeah, let's use it. So you need some sort of like translator, orchestrator in the middle. I think that's the first stage where we start actually making these integrations, and you participated on that, your team, to help us to connect the both worlds, to interoperate. But like I said, the vision now is actually how can we use the blockchain directly? How can we use all the private chain, all the public chain? I think the public Rails will be really good for us, because we'll be able to really explore the use of a public blockchain using the proper privacy layers, the proper KYC and controls. There's something that today we don't have yet in the level of security, compliance, and also technical aspects to operate the volume we operate. So that's, I think, one of the reasons we chose to work with Rails on the private chain. It's we cannot just, like you said, we cannot stop. We cannot take the risk to, today it's not working. So, but it's the first step is done. It's like to integrate, like I said, it's like to have this middleware. You need to create a silo in the beginning. There's no other way. But when you start actually having these assets being like tokenized, registered, it's pretty much the same, directly on the private network or on a public network with the proper privacy layers. Everything it gets another kind of playfield. It's
and it's interesting to see, because we went in production in June 2024. So hundreds of millions of dollars have been tokenized already.
It's almost R1 billion so far.
Yeah. So assets are being tokenized day to day. It's live already, and it's getting more and more mature. As Leandro said, we're now bringing new services, new products, and you touch. We're working very hard. The testnet went live a few weeks ago of our mainnet and public chain. And the private networks that we have in production will be seamless connected to the public chain.
Yeah.
And we're super excited, because some assets that you're tokenizing can be ported over. How do you see that? How do you see Núclea's participation on this, using the private networks, expanding the private network, at the same time using the public chain as well? Because this is a very interesting design, where some transactions will happen into the private network, but for liquidity purpose, for new services or distribution, you also are planning to use the public chain, right?
I think that comes back to that conversation on how can we contribute also to the security of the network, like running nodes,
being a validator.
And the way you guys are building, I think, this validator network, with like companies like Núclea, analyzing, studying this nodes, and also this integration from the private network, because we visualized this back in 2023. We have, I think I still have this PowerPoint. It's like, first we built the private network with the participants, each one running their own node. And then we have this connected to a public environment where they connect to other, networks, to other vans.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you use this name yet, like this other networks around the world, using the public as like a channel, or like this interoperability place, because things will have to connect,
Yeah.
and like today we see a lot of people talking about interoperability and bridging and all this, but it's not a simple thing. It's you don't connect here and there like this, and depending on the kind of company or business you're running, you need to be really worried about like the security aspects, the how can we really trust that environment will be prepared for, first, the security we need, and the volume, because the volume is
very high.
It's not like sending some tokens here and there. It's all the time, and we've been seeing this on the DLT, on the private network, and like, we are one doing this. Imagine when you have like 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 banks, FMIs, using this. So that's how we see, like, how can we use a technology that we can be like sure enough and safe enough that technology will follow our basic technical aspects, like on security, interoperability, and speed.
I really trust when, because a lot of products are designed by a thought or by a vision, but when products are designed along with a client that's using in production, the product evolves a lot. And I'll tell this history because our first version of the privacy preserving protocol, Enigma, was okay, not to say it was well, and Núclea was one of the first to implement in production.
Was heavy.
Oh my God, I remember so many nights without sleeping. But after a year and a half of this in production, the scalability grew a lot. We can process like 15,000 transactions per second. The processing of privacy transactions has improved dramatically with different token types. How do you see that? Because I remember back in the day, a year and a half ago, we're like, oh, we need to improve this, we need to improve it. From your perspective, working with the product itself, you're working with Rails components, the privacy node, the Enigma privacy preserving solution. What's your view there? Has this improved? We need to improve more. Again, I like to hear the feedback from the client. That's how we improve things.
Look, I was always very clear to everybody that when we chose to use Rails, that on that time was part chain.
Yeah.
When we decided we bought a roadmap. We actually bought the idea of what you were starting to build, and the main thing, I think, we bought the team. We chose Parfin because of you guys, like the capacity that was clear that you guys had to deliver what we needed. So we pretty much built the product
together
on Núclea. And comparing to the initial tests, like we started to test transactions, I think it was March or April 2024. We launched in June, July 2024. We've been through some upgrades last year. This year was pretty much stable. We don't even pay attention on this anymore. Because you remember there was that concern about the TPS, that there was a time here that every day people were like, what about the TPS? What about the TPS? Nobody talks about the TPS anymore because it's working, like I think we reached the peak was 12,000 or something like this. That like for us it's a lot. We didn't need that much when we reached it, and it was good. I think 12,000 TPS, transactions per second are like really good. The privacy now, we tested the Enigma, but we stopped working. We stopped using because there would be like the new versions. To be very honest, I don't know what is in place now, but I think there is something.
No, the version. Yeah,
I need to call my technical guys here, but like I really don't remember.
No, I know what's happening. We have still the version Enigma 2.4, but we're already on the version 2.7.
But we didn't upgrade.
We didn't upgrade yet because upgrading things in production needs to be very well prepared, and things are working properly. The new version has implemented. It was implemented for ERC20. Now we have ERC 1155, 71. We have different assets. We have the shielded votes as well. So I think by the time we will upgrade, I really like it because as part of our launch on the mainnet, we want to bring full privacy for the public chain as well. And I think the product has been designed to support that. There's a lot of work to be done, and but
it impacts cost too.
Yeah,
I think like we talk with banks and all these guys all the time, and one thing that sometimes people don't consider much, especially on private chains, it's like the cost. The cost to run a private network is huge. And one thing that we noticed, like from the version 1 to now, the cost decreased a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think the software optimization, that database, optimization, that we're using much less resources for more, speed, and it's something that it's evolving. It's normal, like the level we reach it now. It's good. It's okay. It's something that we don't talk every day. Also, it's like TPS and the cost, but it's something that I see that it's evolving. And one thing that like sometimes people say, oh, but what about the public, using the public chain? I think it's a natural, a path. It's that you're gonna be using a proper public network when it's available. Like I think we didn't use a public chain because first the things the information we deal with, it's very sensitive. We need to keep some things in the private environment. But once we have something that we can trust, that in the public network, it's really private, like we expect with your public network, I think then we start like thinking on using more the public than the private network, because I think others will start using too.
Yeah. And you mentioned about when we started a year and a half ago, that the cost was high because our private node it was a fork of GAF, and we changed the database to be reaching the TPS, and we changed the consensus mechanism, but it was more was more heavy to install, etc. The way we evolved the product, the private node, is to be a very lightweight node, and in the future, I hope that is installed in your mobile and you don't feel it, because you can contribute, you can run a node in your mobile, and that's the ultimate goal of the Rails private nodes. So everyone will have your own private node, and with security, where your assets could be stored, etc., and contribute to the security of the network in general. That's why we've been, from the first versions to now, we're turning this into a lightweight, where we see banks could have hundreds or thousands of private nodes installed. People could have their private nodes installed, and I think this is the evolution of the technology, and we're super excited because when we, again, products evolve, and when we started, we had this view: we would love to have thousands of private nodes being used and installed, etc. And the technology, working in production with you guys, etc., we made it happen. We made it reached a level now that, as you said, we don't even see the cost anymore. It's running. We can deploy the node.
Yeah, we still worry about, but it's not something that we really concerned, because I think it reached a kind of okay level. No, that's okay. That's doable.
Yeah.
Because the volume, and there is something else when you start having volume increasing on the network, more assets being tokenized, more things being done, applications, integrations. We putting more people to use the network now. This week even we were talking 2 other nodes. So you start paying attention in actually other things. You not paying attention is the phrase, but it's you start to being more concerned about other aspects than things that, the cost is there, you have it, but let's focus on the application, on what we are delivering, what we can build here. Now looking to the stablecoin side, how can we evolve for the amount of transactions we are expecting in this project. We are working with you guys, and we cannot wait 5 minutes for a transaction. It must be like the tokenization is being. It's
you mentioned, because as part of the existing production system, you're already tokenizing the money, right? The deposit. So there is also already a stable coin being tokenized, but for the internal purposes, right? For the internal settlements of the network. And would you see potentially a more broad stable coin that could be used by third parties? And what's your view there?
Well, we have few initiatives with some conversations with some of the banks. I think stable coins, especially now in Brazil, will be a game that the banks will join. They will have their one, or even to work inside their one network or outside, to explore new service, for example, the business model of Crown.
Yeah.
The banks will start doing that. I think it's obvious for me. We, as a clearing house, have the ability of do this clearing. So we building actually a stable coin that has 3 layers. Has this payments layer, which is the on-off ramp we are using already for the Santander project. That it's like a tokenized deposit, but it's a stable coin. Running on Rails, on the private chain, because we still don't have the public. We have this clearing layer that we understand that because of the banks will each other have their own stable coin, and also other companies, other fintechs. it will be like a check. You need someone to, do this clear.
Convert one.
And Núclea, it's like Núclea's core business to do this already for other things, for the assets. And we have this third layer that we can work as a liquidity provider and also like a white label for banks and for the fintechs, crypto companies, or the stable coins, etc. And that's actually the projects we've been like talking. I think it will be fun to see this working on public chain because of the volume we expect to get.
Yeah.
It can be maybe in less than a year the biggest, BRL stablecoin here if you put all the pieces together.
Yeah. No, I'm to me this is one of the most exciting projects that we are working now with you guys, and because of the nature of your business, which already clears 50% of the payments and almost $5 trillion in payments in BRL, and again settling this network and the connection with the public to be this big player is one of the most exciting to me. And yeah, I think it's going to transform the way financial market works, and being part of it is very, very exciting.
It's the time to build.
Yeah,
it's like we've been building for the last 2 years, and we started building. We had a vision that we should do instead of wait in 2023. So we pretty much 2 years ahead of everybody else here, and it's not bullshit. This is true. We have like a production network, private network working. We have like assets being tokenized already. We have settlement. We have on-off ramp with our own stablecoin. We have all this roadmap to use, the public as the pipe to reach other markets. We have all this visibility about what could be the next thing to happen in, big. We have the volume to bring, so it's keep pushing, keep building, and we're very happy to have you guys as like partners and to help us to build all this.
Thank you. And it's exciting because we come from financial markets, we understand, and translated this into reality. Because there are a lot of talks in the market, right?
There are lots of stamps in the way, guys. It's like there's a lot of paper. There's a lot of people that you need to wait to sign something, bureaucracy, politics. It's not easy, but we're playing in a market that it's a little bit different because things already work in a certain way there. And when the blockchain dudes, they come and say, yeah, but here you just need a wallet. It's not that simple, when you take this to the TradFi, because they have been operating in another way for I don't know, 50 years, 40 years. And there's still a lot of paper going from here and there. There is a lot of like Excel files, like ledgers using an XLS. You need to respect the time to change things. There's a strong regulatory component that some people don't understand. You cannot just go and do things. You get slapped by the regulator. You get slapped by your shareholders. So everything must be really well planned. Must be really well designed. We cannot just like go and do it. We wish we could, but I think we've done a lot for the last 2 years, considering the environment of like the TradFi, that it's, like I said, it's a different animal.
Yeah, that's why again, with the regulatory clarity for the things we've done and the future ahead is very promising. I'm very excited, as you said. There's this new projects to go live, the public chain, and this is going to be a new era, and we I'm kind of if I could speed up the time, I think we were there. And it's funny because especially this year, we've seen a lot of people saying, oh, we're going to do this, we've been doing already. And I think that's what especially Núclea with the leadership puts you guys ahead of the market. And again, it helps us because the product evolved a lot. So when you have something working, and in production, you're challenged. You need to improve things. You need to get more throughput. To the point where I'm so happy because this is the live feedback. Well, we're not concerned more about TPS. We're not concerned more about cost, or is it concerned?
No, you need to, but like it's not the big thing now because it's in a level that you can. Yeah, it's acceptable.
Yeah. And then again, so as you said, we're now thinking about new products and services, the application layer. And talking about the application layer, I think there are a lot of very nice apps and DeFi protocols that can be used, like lending pools, vaults, DEXs. How do you see this integration with DeFi and bringing really some of those players in and say, oh, let's build a vault here for yield-bearing assets. Let's build a DEX to exchange stable coins, BRL to non-BRL. So how do you see this coming, next?
That's a difficult conversation, because when you classify DeFi on the way that regulations are pushing DeFi to operate now, it's not the DeFi we knew it before.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
not 100% decentralized finance.
We can call it DeFi, but it's not really DeFi. So, but I think,
but the technology will leverage what happened in DeFi, right?
But I think what we'll see now, it's more a kind of hybrid environment than actually it's AOB. It's DeFi or it's CeFi, or it's something hybrid. You will still have like services components that they will be more to the DeFi, especially because the decentralized story, it's nothing is 100% decentralized if you look closer.
Only Bitcoin.
Yeah, but what about the mining guys? Like
very concentrated.
Yeah, very concentrated. So it's a big discussion. But I the way I see now, it's actually the not too decentralized, not that much centralized. There will be more a hybrid thing, where you have the participation of this thing of TradFi, DeFi. I think this will also stop existing. It will be just one thing. It's like I'm trying to avoid this kind of classifications, like taxonomy. What is this? What is that? Why this guy sitting in that box and that guy sitting in the other box? Because now we're reaching, I think, at a time of the market that it's pretty much everything the same.
Conversion.
Yeah, because like there are rules. And depending on the place you want to play, there is a rule for everybody. And the discussion here is not if you agree or not. There is a rule. So if you want to classify based on one way of doing things, it's hard to find actually, But the way I see it's more integration, It's actually maybe a Navi, a Uniswap having more like service close to the bank level, and the bank level going maybe to their side, and that's why I think they are starting to meet halfway.
Yeah, that's why Aave launched Horizon by Aave, which is a permission of version of Aave where banks can participate. And I think this is where you're seeing the hybrid in between the two worlds, leveraging the DeFi technology in a kind of hybrid way.
And it's quite schizophrenic sometimes, because like we've been talking about bringing the institutions to crypto and to blockchain for the last, I don't know, 6-7 years, and now they are coming. People are like, whoa, but what about these guys joining here? But what do you want? Like, it's when the volume comes, and that's it. It's like the internet in the 90s. Like, I think we move it from the part that we need to convince that the email is better than the fax. That's clear. If we still need to do that, we're doing something wrong. Now we need to actually understand that some things that are being done in this with this technology need some sort of fences, need some sort of regulations. And it's not about privacy or anonymity or anything like this. It's about protecting more people that are joining the game. And if you bring the institutions, man, it's natural that you're gonna be like converging, the services.
Yeah. I think we're approaching in the end, and I want to see if there's questions from the audience, so we can answer. But so from beginning 1.5 years ago, then going to production, then scaling, the network, the upcoming public chain. If we were to see in 2026 and say, oh my God, that's where we want to reach. So what would that be? What do you think that would be a success in 2026?
I think to be sure that we can use like a public network without the concerns we have today, instead of like to think to use the public network like we use the cloud today.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago, why should I, take my machines out of the back room there and put in the cloud? This is not safe. This is not this. Maybe 30 years ago. But I think to reach that level that we look public networks, blockchains, in a way that we safe enough, we comfortable enough to use that without thinking, oh, but this is not my private network. This is not. I don't like this idea. Like, I'm from the school that the blockchain is a blockchain. You need to trust the blockchain. You need to use the blockchain. We had to build a private network, which is not a blockchain. It's a DOT. It's
yeah.
I like to insist in this name. Like a blockchain is a public network. And maybe with like the Rails going public now, we can start seeing that. Like we're confident on this.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah, I'm super excited because as I said before, design a product that can be trusted by a large FMI is really important, because then you make you use as the moving from your data center to the cloud.
Yeah, we've been following you guys since the beginning. I think we know how hard it was. We worked together to build this, and I really trust that you guys gonna make it.
Yeah.
I'm really confident on that.
Yeah, I'm too. And again, the thing is good because
you can come back 2 years later and say if I was wrong or right.
I mean, I think you're going to be right. We're super excited. As you know, we launched the token publicly. The market's not helping. There's like ups and downs, but with what we're building, we truly believe about the consistency of the delivers and the on-chain activity that will prove much more than the price action. And I'm super excited because, sometimes people don't realize. And this conversation is to show what we've been doing, and we will do more with other clients, and then we'll really show what we're building and the trust that we have with this large participants. And going to the end, let me see if there's questions here for us to answer. Otherwise, we do a wrap up. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just looking for my mobile if I receive any questions. But let's going through the end. I think we are getting to the end of the year. Has been a tremendous year. Lots of things happening. I would like to thank you again, the partnership, Leandro. If you can say the final words, and we finish here. We didn't, at least I'm not seeing any questions. Let me see if there are questions here.
Something in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
there are a few.
Question there, Phil. Now that I see it, yeah, if there's a spot for validators, yes, that's for sure. We will open. There will be a set of regulated financial institutions as validators, like Núclea and others that we're talking to for the public chain. We're super excited about it, and we'll announce. But there will be. It will be permission validators to begin with, but we will encourage the community to contribute and stake tokens with some of the validators. I think it will be tremendous to contribute to the security of the network. Again, those big financial institutions will be staking, will be validating transactions, and I think this will be very, very good. Let's see more questions.
Yeah, there was one there.
Yeah, I think the RPN would be the pathway for Núclea's adoption of Rails chain. How does it actually affect Rail growth in the long term?
Well, if we start moving the assets to the public chain, the volume will be there instead of in the private network. So
yeah,
I cannot promise anything. I don't want to promise anything, but it's like the volumes, from 30 billion transactions per month. Okay, it won't be all that because there are things that will still be in TradFi. But remember that the tokenization side of the business, it's happening in a new space. It's not that you're going to tokenize the old stuff and everything will be tokenized. There are like new stuff, new assets, new ideas coming into straight to the blockchain. So it's not that we're getting all do the same we do using another technology. It's like new things that instead of going to Oracle, we're using blockchain. That's the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. What's the timeline for Wall Street's shift from paper records to digital infrastructure, and should we expect tokenization to evolve at the same pace? I can take this one. Yeah, you're seeing a lot of banks again.
It's moving already.
It's moving already, but there is the Genius Act, which regulates the stablecoin in US, and MiCA in Europe. MiCA regulates stablecoin, tokenized assets, etc. In US, you still don't have the regulatory framework for tokenized assets. This week, actually, the CFTC issue, and Caroline Fan, the chairman of the CFTC, launched a framework. A lot of players contributing to that framework, and the bill that will be passing hopefully on the first quarter in the US is called Clarity Act, and the Clarity Act will clarify, everything from how to tokenize assets, what's the controls, etc., etc. So I think this, especially for Wall Street, full adoption is going to happen. Is going to be clear next quarter. Obviously, as the Genius Act, for instance, Genius Act bill passed a few months ago, and people are preparing to launch their stable coins, to issue, etc. As far as tokenized assets, once Clarity Act passes the Congress, and deal was signed by the president, I think then the market will be on chain. Again, it will not be in the first year. That's why we're in a journey, guys. It's not going to be like that's why I say Núclea is ahead, because Núclea started a year and a half ago and is already tokenizing, is exploring to use the public chain to do a hybrid model, etc. This year and a half gap, obviously you can do faster, you can do slower, but people will need time to do this on chain. It's not like if a bank tomorrow say, I'm going to start tokenizing assets, they need to build the infrastructure, they need to validate security, they need to run nodes, they need to hire people that understand blockchain. So it will happen in the long run. So, but the regulatory framework being clear, it pushes a lot, because the worst thing that can happen to a bank, to financial institutions, you see your next door competitor launching a product that you are not able to launch. That's killing. I remember when I was in a bank, our competitors launching products that we're not being able to launch because of technology, because we were not prepared. That kills a business. That kills a business. So that's why I think there will be a race, and the pace will be faster and faster and faster. But again, I always use this expression, if you put two pregnant women, a baby is not going to be born in 4.5 months. It's a natural thing. So you can put like hundreds of people building. There are things that takes time, and I think this is where we are with this technology, and we're excited. Let's see. Hi, Marcus. Will there application for validators? Yeah, I mentioned. So we will open the application for validators, and next quarter. So we're cooking. So hopefully the mainnet will come live in the first quarter next year, and then we will prepare, of course, the validator set and forms for people that wants to contribute. Let's see more questions. Nubank. Yeah, I think there's a question about Nubank doesn't have a physical presence. It's an online bank. Are you also focusing on taking it to the blockchain? It already has. Yeah, I think, you see a convergence, in my opinion, right? Traditional banks, the neobanks disrupt the market. Revolut, Nubank, and others around the world, they disrupt the branch, the physical branch, and cash withdrawals, etc. That's it. That will happen to blockchain within the banks. That will disrupt the way products are offered, services are created, assets are managed, are transferred. Because today, I give you this example. Go to your bank or to a broker dealer, buy Apple stock, and you have it in your app, but try to transfer that. Say, hey, I have another account. There are better services there. I don't want to sell. I want to transfer this stock from broker dealer to B. It's impossible to do. So imagine in the future, you have your tokenized stocks, your tokenized assets, and if you're not happy with the service being offered, you can just transfer and use better services.
To transfer stocks, you need to send actually a paper signed
Yeah.
to a physical address, and then
Yeah.
you need to wait someone to take that paper, read, and do something for you.
I think this will be revolutionary. This will be revolutionary.
And technology is ready for that. Okay, it's not like a technical limitation.
Yes. So that's what I think it's going to be the way we're building things, right? Yeah. So I believe it is, but speaking directly about the government, people waiting to make the progress. Do you think it will be easy? I think there was a question specifically to the regulation in Brazil and the US, and that's applicable globally. The regulations is now clear, so in Brazil, and will be enforced from February, similarly to US. Once the regulation is clear, there will be adoption. So the regulator cannot say, "Oh, you can't do it," because it's clear. So I think this is not going to be a blocker, going forward. Let me see. further questions. Yeah, I think we cover most of them. And we're getting to the end. I think, we thank you for all the, attendees that joined us. Thank you, Leandro, once again.
Thank you, guys. Thanks
for being
Viriato.
here. And yeah, we'll do more. Stay with us. Thank you, community. Thank you, everybody.